This is Mr. McElroy, and today I'm going to show you how to determine who our elected representatives are. All of you probably know that we elect a President of the United States, though many of you may not know that we elect the President indirectly. And many of you may also know that we elect other representatives, but you may not know exactly who all of them are. Under our constitutional system, each American citizen actually, unless you live in the District of Columbia, you live under two constitutions, the United States Constitution and a state constitution. And those two constitutions determine who our elected representatives are. And I'm going to walk you through a method for determining who your elected representatives are. And the reason why we need to do that and why I need to do this is because depending on where you live in Longfellow's school district, you may actually have different representatives from your classmates. So we're going to use an online application, type in an address, and then a form will pop up which will show you which elected representatives are associated with that address. Before I do that, I'd like you to open up to page 13 of your agenda, and you'll see a page that says My Elected Representatives, and you'll see some blank spots. What I'm showing you right now is some information that should already be filled in your agenda. As you see the three levels of government, national government, state government, and local government, you'll also see these columns that have a name, office, and district. And so using those three columns, you should be able to complete a sentence such as this. Barack Obama is the President of the United States of America. Joe Biden is the Vice President of the United States of America. Please fill in the USA in those two blank spots in your agenda. Look at the next two lines, and you'll see that the information is filled in. And that's because our two U.S. Senators for Virginia, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, both represent all of Virginia. And so no matter where you live in Longfellow's district, you will be represented by those two senators. You'll also see a blank line below that, and you'll see that the name and the district are not filled in. And that's because, depending on where you live in Longfellow's district, you may have one of three congressmen. And so we're going to determine who your congressman is. While I'm here, note that this is an example of a bicameral legislature. Our national legislature is called the United States Congress, and it consists of two chambers or houses. The upper house is the U.S. Senate, which consists of 100 U.S. senators who represent the 50 states. So there are two U.S. senators from each state. Each of them represents the entire state, meaning wherever you live in that state, you get to vote for those senators. They don't run at the same time, but we'll discuss that later when we go into more detail into our elections and into the legislative systems. You also, in your own state, are elected by a representative, also sometimes called a congressman, who represents a section of that state. Virginia is divided up into 11 congressional districts, and as I mentioned, 3 of them are partially located in Fairfax County and actually in Longfellow's district. So we're going to determine which of those 3 representatives is your representative. When you look at the state government, you'll see a similar structure. We have 3 executive officers who represent the entire state. Terry McAuliffe is the governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam is the lieutenant governor of Virginia, and Mark Herring is the attorney general for Virginia. But we have a bicameral legislature which makes state laws, and so we elect representatives to the two chambers that make up the General Assembly. The General Assembly is our state legislature. It is made up of a Senate, which consists of 40 senators, and a House of Delegates, which has 100 delegates. Each state senator represents one slice of the state, if you will. Those districts are actually numbered. By the way, the representative districts for the national government are also numbered. The House of Delegates in the General Assembly is divided up into 100 districts of roughly equal population, and those districts are numbered as well. When we look at the local government, you'll see that Sharon Bulova is the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. She represents all of Fairfax County. The Board of Supervisors consists of 10 individuals, the chairman, and then 9 supervisors who each represent a district of Fairfax County. Now, those districts actually have names such as Providence, Hunter Mill, or Drainsville. So we're going to determine who your supervisor is and the name of the district that they represent. Likewise, there's actually a separate Fairfax County government for the school system. And the school board is made up of 12 members. 3 of those members, you can see here, Jeanette Huff, Ryan McKelvey, and Ilgrong Moon, are elected at large. That means they have to win votes throughout the entire county. And it means that your parents are actually represented by all 3 of those at-large members. But there's also one school board member who represents just the people who live in one of the 9 districts that Fairfax County is divided up into. So we're going to figure out who your school board member is, and they will represent the district, which is the same district that your supervisor represents. But the supervisor is on the Board of Supervisors, which sort of makes laws or ordinances for all issues other than for school issues. The school board makes decisions about the school system. Lastly, but perhaps most importantly, at the bottom of the page, you'll see that I want you to write in voting precinct and polling place. Fairfax County is divided up into over 600 voting precincts, which are the sort of local neighborhoods that determine where you're going to vote. The actual place where your parents vote is the polling place for that voting precinct. When someone goes to vote, they give their name, and the registrar looks to see if that person's name is on the roster for the voting precinct and determines that the person is actually voting in the right place. And so that's the starting point, which we will use to determine who your elected representatives are. When you go, if you go open up your browser, and you'll go to search for the terms "My Neighborhood Fairfax County," and you'll see the top link here. If you open it up, it takes you to a page that looks like this. In this page, you're just going to type in your street address. You don't need to put in your city, state, or zip code, just your house number and the street address. So I'm going to type in an address for somewhere else in Fairfax County. Please do not record this information because you don't live at this address, and therefore you don't have these representatives. So, but when I type in the street address and hit search, it'll pull up a form, and the form includes a map, which gives you the location of the residence. But on the left-hand side, there's voting information and government information. So the first thing I want you to do is type in the or put in your elected representatives form, your voting precinct and the polling place at the bottom of your page. So you would do that right there at the bottom. And so in this case, I put in Bush Hill Elementary School, which is in the Alexander or Springfield area of Fairfax County. Next, you're going to scroll down, and you'll see a picture of Sharon Bulova, who's the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. Her information is already in your agenda, but you don't know who your supervisor is. This address is represented by Jeff McCabe because he represents the Lee District. Lee District is one of the 9 supervisor districts in Fairfax County. So you're going to have a different supervisor. Write down that person's name in your agenda and write down the name of your supervisor district. Then we're going to continue, and so you go over here and I would put in this information. You're going to put in a different name and a different district. Next, they show you the 2 members of our bicameral legislature that represent this address. Recall that there's a House of Delegates with 100 members, and there's a Virginia State Senate with 40 members. And accordingly, these 2 representatives, they tell you the number of the district that they represent. So these districts are actually numbered, unlike the supervisor districts for the county, which have names. These are just simply numbered. Mark Sickles represents the 43rd District of Virginia, so we're going to put that information in your agenda. Then look at the state senator. In this case, it's George Barker. He represents the 39th District. Put that information in your agenda. Next, we're going to proceed down to the U.S. government. Now, they show you Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, who I already mentioned, represent the entire state of Virginia. And accordingly, if you look over there on your agenda, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine's name appear, and they filled in the information for their office and the district they represent. But you want to go down, you want to go up and look at this person up here, who's your congressman, also known as your U.S. representative. find their name, and put down the district they represent. Again, Virginia now has 11 congressional districts, so your representative is going to represent either the 8th district, the 10th district, or the 11th district. And it would look like this. And so I put in this information. Some of you may actually have Don Beyer as your representative. Beyer's district stretches from the all the way from the southern portion of Fairfax County up into the northern portion of Fairfax County where Longfellow is located. So now you've completed your My Elected Leaders page on in your agenda, and right about now you sort of kind of get a warm, glowing, tingly sensation in your toes and fingers because you're feeling so good about yourself. If you have any questions, let me know, and we can complete it during Lancer time or something like that. But notice you've got a name and an office and a district for all of these elected representatives. And I'm counting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Whoops, I forgot somebody. I forgot your all-important school board member. And you'll see you're actually represented by 4 school board members. 3 are elected at large, meaning they're elected from the entire county. And 1 person represents just the district wherein you reside. So your parents are actually represented by 4 people on the school board, which there's 12 people, plus an unelected student representative. Usually there's 1 high school student from some high school in the county that actually sits on the board, but they don't get to vote. And I'm not actually sure how that person is selected. I know that last year I think there was an individual from Langley who is represented on the student representative on the school board. So go back and we put in that additional information for the school board, and now you're done, and now you should start feeling that warm, tingly sensation. All right, let me know if you got any questions. I just want you to kind of get an introduction to our to the way our government's structured when it comes to representatives, and it's kind of fairly complicated. And so we're going to learn more about this as the year goes on. But we have an election coming up in November, and so I wanted everyone to kick off the year by sort of getting an idea of who their actual representatives are. All right, thanks.